Hi, welcome to Digital Learning. I'm Connie Colosi, the Director of Media Text and Digital Learning for Pinellas County Schools. And today I have with me my friend and colleague, Sarah Trulson.
Hi, Connie.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for coming in.
You're so welcome.
So what we want to talk today about is here at the beginning of the school year, some of the kind of a recap of some of the great professional development opportunities that our teachers had over the summer. So Dr. Grego is big on using a sports analogy that we train in the off season. So tell us a little about your work this summer.
Well, we had a really busy summer, so it was exciting. We had lots and lots of teachers. Over 635 teachers came out this summer for training.
Wow.
So we were really happy with that. We had training on Microsoft and training on Nearpod and Brain Pop. And we had a wonderful ed camp, all kinds of exciting things and opportunities for our teachers. We also partnered with some other offices as well to work with them on providing PD and technology integration too.
So one of the formats that we've been using the last couple of summers is something you're calling Technology Reboot.
Yes. So our summer technology reboot, as we kind of think about what teachers need and we look at the summertime and all of the trainings that they're having the opportunity to go to for their curricular areas or for other topics, we were kind of looking at how do we have an option for everyone. So if you're teaching summer bridge and you maybe only have 2 hours in your day that you could come to training, or you're trying to kind of just maximize everything that's going on. So we've got some trainings that go for 6 hours and some that go for 3, and then we have our reboot. And what we looked at with that one is we tried to pick topics that we had seen throughout the years that our technology integration coordinators had worked with teachers on or gotten questions about, or that we knew were big things we wanted to make sure everybody had an opportunity to learn about. And we made them into little 45-minute sessions. And teachers could sign up for a 2-hour reboot. And during that time, they got to go to 2 45-minute sessions with trainers that we were able to bring in, either from teachers who are doing amazing things in the classroom with a product, or trainers that we worked with through the different companies that we purchased software from.
So in that 2 hours, you said there were 2 45-minute sessions. How many things did they have to pick from?
Oh my gosh, they had 7 or 8 topics that they got to pick from. So one of them, Kaylee Kopka, who is one of our great elementary school teachers from Leela Davis, held sessions on Nearpod. So we had a kind of introduction to Nearpod and then a little deeper dive for folks who had been using it and just wanted to learn a little bit more about some of the new updates that had been made. We had a session on the new Smart Learning Suite Online, and we had Teddy, one of the great trainers from Smart, come out, and she trained our teachers on that so they could pick to go to that session. And we ran 2 different ones, so if they went to something else first, they could go to that Smart session and learn about the Learning Suite Online there. We had a wonderful trainer from Adobe came out, and she did training on Adobe Spark and how you can integrate that into your classroom. And again, we offered the session twice so that folks could kind of mix and mingle and still go and see it.
Well, with 7 or 8 choices, and you can only pick 2, did we have people that signed up? How many times did you do this?
Yes, so we had the phenomenon again this year. So we basically did from 9 to 11 in the morning, and then we had another session from 3 to 5 in the afternoon with the same topics. And that was catered towards our summer bridge teachers who typically can't go to training because they're teaching kids still during the day. Then we did that on June 17th. Then on the 19th, we did the same thing again. So 9 to 11 and 3 to 5. And the phenomenon that happened last year happened again this year, where we had someone come and they'd only maybe signed up for one because, you don't typically sign up to go to the same training more than once. And they'd come up at the end of the day and say, Sarah, you have so many topics and I picked those 2, but I really want to go to all of them. Can I sign up for more sessions? And so I'd have folks who came in the morning and they'd come back at 3 o'clock to get 2 more, and then they'd go and sign up again for the 19th and come again. So we had several people that came to all 4 of the sessions that we offered because they wanted to see everything and learn about everything. And, you know, I think that's great. It was a little bit one of those that you can get some points for this little 2-hour nugget, or you can come twice or 3 times or to all 4 and kind of cater and meet your needs.
So we talk about differentiating instruction for students, but this is a way to get teachers what they need, not waste their time, let them focus, let them decide. So we did get a chance to talk with Kristen Esposito, who is a library media technology specialist, and she gave us her thoughts on the technology reboot format.
I like that it's short, and it kind of just gives you a sneak peek into what's available, and then you have the opportunity to go and learn more on your own. Sometimes with full day trainings, this is only a 2-hour training, and there were 2 different sessions that you could choose. You had the choice of what sessions you wanted to choose, and sometimes when you're in an all-day training, it becomes very overwhelming. There's a lot of information, it's hard to remember everything, and it's nice to just get a sneak peek into what's out there, and then you have the opportunity to go and learn more on your own, and then usually there's follow-up opportunities so you can dive a little bit deeper, as well as get the support from our technology integration coordinators that are available to come out to schools and help us get more into the learning.
She mentioned our technology integration coordinators.
Yes.
And what was she referring to when she said that?
So we have 4 wonderful people on our staff. 2 of them work with elementary, so Laura Clark and Stacy Pellerin Vanderloop come out and work with our elementary school teachers on topics of technology integration. So working with your smartboard, using the software that comes with that, working with programs like BrainPop and Adobe Spark to integrate them into your curriculum. And then we have 2 integration coordinators that work with our secondary schools. So Alex Heron and James Wilson come out and work with those teachers. So one of the other nice bits that we try to reinforce, and I always ask the presenters to reinforce this too, that, you know, like Kristen mentioned, it is just 45 minutes. So it's not a deep dive, it's kind of getting your toes wet into what is this thing that I've heard about? Let me start thinking on this. And then we always tell folks, hey, your friendly neighborhood technology integration coordinator, or TIC, as the media specialists call them, will come out and work with you to further the use of this, because she's very right. If you're new to something, you're new to Notebook or you're new to Spark, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to start with a 6-hour all-day training where maybe you're learning a little more than you're ready for right then.
So, and by the way, I'll also mention that those technology integration coordinators are funded through our referendum.
Yes.
And we are so grateful to our Pinellas County homeowners and taxpayers that they have supported our referendum and have allowed us to provide this really job-embedded professional development to further technology. Absolutely. So one of the sessions, and you mentioned Adobe Spark, and this is relatively new to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We implemented
Yes.
this last school year, or made it available, but we really had not done much training on it. So give us a quick thing on Adobe Spark, and then we have a little bit more video about it.
Yeah, so Adobe Spark basically is kind of a mix of things. So everyone's probably heard of Adobe, and they have some really great video production pieces, but this is a little nugget of those things. So within the Adobe Spark account that teachers and students get for free, they have the ability to create Adobe pages. So it's almost like a little web page or a scrolling presentation. So they can create those. They also can use the Adobe Spark video. So they can create little videos and embed images and audio, and it has some little things that students can do to change the theme and background. The nice thing about it is it doesn't have so many features that students get so wrapped up in that element that they're not focusing on the core, the content of what they're trying to present. So we like it because it gives them enough of the things so they can make it unique and have that production factor. And it's really simple for them to use and easy for kids to grasp, but it's not so overwhelming that they get kind of caught up in the minutia of, I want, 65 font options and colors. So there's that piece. And then there's another one that we don't use as much, but it's the Spark Post. So, students are really into memes and social media. And, certainly we're, a little more conservative about, having them create things and post them on Twitter. But sometimes you might want in a lesson to have the feel of creating, what if I was creating a social media post to share this bit of information about something I've learned about the World War II, or something in a novel that I'm reading. They could create, using the little post, a little meme or a little information that, what are 3 words you would use to describe this, you could post on a social media account, So tying into what they like to do and what they do, but in a secure kind of place.
So we had a presenter come, and we'll take just a quick little snippet into her training on Adobe Spark.
Awesome.
A tool that can span from kindergarten, preschool really, all the way up to high school and beyond. It is free to everyone, the base version of Spark. The education version, we provide the premium version of Spark to all educators, students, and staff for free. And as Lori mentioned, it's available to you in Clever. Spark contains 3 different applications. It's got Spark Page, Spark Post, and Spark Video. So I'm noticing here that there's some Windows PCs, there's some MacBooks, maybe you have a Chromebook or iPad or a mobile device. Spark runs on all of those different devices.
Kristen Esposito attended her session on Adobe Spark, and she also shared with us some of her thoughts on that session.
Awesome.
It looks like a very easy to use and intuitive presentation software. There's a lot of different presentation software. Of course, we're always used to Microsoft PowerPoint, but with Microsoft PowerPoint, there tends to be a lot of options, almost overwhelmingly too many options. So I think with the addition of like Sway, where you can kind of just pick and choose your templates, your photos, Adobe Spark reminded me a lot of Sway, but it also offers some different features. But it looks like a great product resource that students can use to, again, show what they've learned, because that seems to be an area of education that we need to enhance and provide more opportunities for students to show what they learned. So the one takeaway that I've received today from Adobe Spark is that it is very intuitive and it provides a lot of options, easy to select options for students to display what they've learned and even present what they've learned that's a little bit more creative and exciting and visually appealing than most other traditional options.
So Adobe Spark, tell us real quick, how do you access it and who can use it?
So if a student goes into their Clever portal page, they'll see an Adobe Spark link. They just click on that. And there's a couple little steps, but they don't even really have to enter their username and password. They click on Enterprise Login, put in their email, and it takes them right in. So,
and their email, by the way, will be their district email, which will be their R2D2 at pcsb.org.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, one nice thing that I was able to do with Adobe's permission was to just put in everyone. So anyone who works for Pinellas County Schools has an account with Adobe Spark. So anybody can go to either spark.adobe.com and follow the steps to get right in, or they can go to Clever, where I've put a nice, easy, quick bookmark link. They can click on that and get right into the system.
So Adobe Spark was one of the options people had to attend.
Yeah.
So another, we had a guest speaker come in who is a partner available to us through Dell. She doesn't work through Dell, but she's a presenter and an experienced educator and administrator that's really knowledgeable in technology integration. And so she, and that's Janelle McLaughlin. And so we're going to hear a little bit from Janelle.
So I have been invited to partner with Pinellas County in helping with their technology integration in the classrooms. And so today was my first chance to come work with teachers actually in the district. My specific focus today is how to incorporate student choice to drive creative thinking and innovation in the classroom. I expose them to 3 different ways to increase student choice in order to aid creative thinking. So through topic, through product, and through process. So in each of those 3 areas, I gave them examples and strategies and tools in order to increase the amount of student choice in the classroom so that students will have more ownership and more engagement in their learning. I'm not sure that it's new so much, except that most teachers haven't taken time in the past many years to think about how to actually increase creative thinking. We spend a lot of time on critical thinking and problem solving. We don't think as much about creative thinking in the classroom. With so much accountability in place with state standardized tests, it's really easy to get focused more on state standards and how to prepare students for the test. What I want to do is help them prepare students for success in life. And we need students that can think both critically and creatively in order to be successful in all areas of their life. So what I'm doing is helping them, I think, maybe feel a little bit more empowered to do what they know is right in the classroom anyway by giving students more opportunity to express themselves.
Technology certainly gives us an opportunity then, not only to think critically, but also to think creatively. And this idea of giving kids choice in the way they show us their learning by giving them a choice of topic to look at, giving them a choice of product, and then the process which they tell us. So that's pretty deep stuff.
It is. It really is. And it's one of those that, you know, as teachers are going to training and they're starting to think about, you know, that work, it changes a little bit how you function in your classroom. So it's definitely a shift in thinking. It's not just one of those pieces where you see it and then you just switch and now you're teaching like this. You have to really kind of think through, how am I presenting the lesson? What are my expectations for getting back the knowledge from the students so I can see if they got it, you know, if they understood it, and what will that process look like? Because if I'm giving my students more choice, and more choice meaning it doesn't mean you can't say we're working on this piece of world history, you know, or this piece of in time. You know, you can narrow it a little bit and then give them an option about what part of that do they want to hone in on, and then giving them the option of, okay, now that you've learned that, here are some options for how you can show me that you learned that. You also then have to establish, well, how am I going to grade that? Because it's not going to be A, B, C, D, E kind of thing where I'm just checking against a multiple choice. I have to think of a rubric that's going to apply to the different ways students might think of to give me that information back. So
Janelle gives us a little bit more about the focus of her presentation that day.
We come in and show you how to use technology to increase efficiency and engagement, but our focus is always on the teaching and learning, never on the technology. There's a tool that I love called the Teaching Innovation Progression Chart, and it's a matrix, and it's split among the 21st century learning skills, which I hate that term. Since we're like 19 years in, I think that we should just call them learning skills at this point. But it's research and information fluency, critical thinking and problem solving, communication and collaboration, and creativity and innovation. And then it moves you from being a teacher-directed classroom to a student-driven classroom along this continuum in each of those focus strands. And one of the reasons I like it so much is because it focuses on both teacher actions and student behaviors. So this is an example, a little clipping from that chart, talking just about creativity and innovation. Students develop original ideas and create products by applying critical thinking, research methods, communication tools, and collaborative processes. It's one of the reasons I'm such a proponent for creativity and innovation, because it ties in all of the other thinking skills that we want for our students to have when they leave our classrooms. And what the teachers do is they provide experiences that allow students to create unique ideas and products. And authentic project-based assessments are key. In a creative classroom, you're not going to see a whole lot of pencil paper exams. You're not going to see a lot of multiple choice because that's not going to assess the creativity of the student or the creative thinking potential. So you'll see a lot more of these project-based assessments, a lot more formative assessments along the way to help guide them towards success.
Okay, so our district was involved for a number of years in the Bill and Melinda Gates Personalized Learning Grant. And in that grant and the work and the PD that we took there, we talked a lot about increasing students' voice and choice. Yeah. And you know, sometimes when something comes up, we talk about something for a while and then we stop talking about it, but we're not. We're still talking about increasing students' voice and choice.
Well, and I think one of the important pieces that she kind of hits on that she's speaking about is not just teaching them the standards for right then, but also teaching them that life skills to move forward. Because one of the things we are tasked with is making sure that our students are ready for the career worlds, for life beyond PCS, so to speak. And a lot of that does start to involve, and a lot of employers are looking for students that can be creative thinkers, and they can think outside of the box with things when they're, you know, come at with a problem. And so giving them those opportunities to do that while still tucking in the standards that they have to learn is, you know, I think the best way of reaching our kids of today and the way that they view things and the way they attack problems in the world.
So she shares a little bit more on this topic of voice and choice, so let's continue listening.
So how do we increase student choice and voice? The easiest way is to think of it by breaking into these three areas. You can give them choice in the topic, you can give them choice in the product that they're developing, or you can give them choice in the process of learning, or all three. And I think it's okay as a teacher to give them 3 to 5 choices. It doesn't have to be like a free-for-all. You get to do anything and everything that you want. Here are the 3 to 5 choices that I want you to choose from for this one project. Choice boards, anybody use choice boards in their classroom? So that's a link that will talk about choice boards or learning menus. They're somewhat the same, where then you're giving them the choice based on this board. Some teachers that I've worked with do it more like tic-tac-toe, like you've got to choose 3 things off this board to make a tic-tac-toe.
So she's talking about a creativity and innovation chart, and it's difficult to see here, but it's something that our department is learning to work with, and we're going to be sharing with schools, and kind of share with us just the overview of what that chart looks like.
Yeah, so the tip chart, or that, you know, technology integration, is basically looking at the levels that a teacher is implementing things like creativity and collaboration, research and accountability, those types of things. And to what degree are they doing it? Is the teacher the one, kind of on one end of the spectrum, it goes down. On one end of the spectrum, the teacher is making all of those decisions. So if we're doing a research project on the Great Wall of China, you know, then I'm telling you this is what you're doing, this is the resource that you're using, and this is I want a research paper back. So I'm the one in control making all the decisions. Then it slowly progresses up to giving them a little bit more opportunity to make those decisions, a little bit more opportunity to make them. So maybe now you get to, you know, you're still doing it on the Great Wall of China, you're still going to do, you know, some sort of a research presentation, but I'm going to give you some choice on, you know, how you want to give me back that. Is it as a PowerPoint? Is it a video? Is it a paper? Because that's where you're most comfortable expressing your learning. So it's slowly kind of letting go of the reins to then at the end where we say, we're working on, you know, the Great Wall of China, but you can decide what piece of that, the building of it, the cause of having it, you know, repercussions, what's happening with it now. You get to pick what angle you'd like to research. You get to pick how you want to show me about that. So it's kind of going down the spectrum of taking that control from the teacher's hands and putting it more into the student's hands as they decide what they want to learn about, as she said, what that topic's going to be, what the project's going to be, how they're going to show they've learned it.
The tip chart is a rubric.
Yes.
And the tip is technology integration progression. And,
yes.
And so a lot of times we use these words, we throw these things around, but we kind of need like, well, what does it really look like?
Yeah.
So this chart actually helps with that. So we'll be talking some more about this. Kristen comes back to us, and she kind of wraps up her learning for the day. Let's hear from Kristen.
Summer is a great time to freshen up on professional development when we're not dealing with all of the stress from the school year. And I'm always looking for ways as a library media specialist to support my teachers and my students in creativity and choice and creating products that are meaningful and also show what they know.
All right, so Ed Camp.
Yes.
And I know Ed Camp is a favorite of yours.
I love Ed Camp.
And so we have been building our capacity for Ed Camp. So tell us about Ed Camp 2019.
Yeah, so Ed Camp 2019, we had about 70 people attend this year, so
70.
It's increasing every year, which is exciting. One of the cool things about Ed Camp, is we've listened to what Janelle was talking about, giving students voice and choice. We also have to remember that teachers need some voice and choice as well. We can't always be the ones to tell them. As much as I love Reboot, we're making the decision about what topics are going to be presented. So there might be someone who's like, I was really wanting to know more about this particular thing, and it wasn't a topic that was presented, and I can't find any PD on it, and I really want to find other teachers who are doing this and talk to them about what are their successes, what are their pitfalls. So the beauty of Ed Camp is our participants come in the morning, we give them breakfast, we have some little activities, and while we're doing that, the kind of reason why we do that is because they're building our actual agenda for the day. So they get 2 sticky notes, a green one and a yellow one, and we have folks who are really ready to lead a conversation about something, and so they write something down on the green sticky note that they're itching to talk about and share what they're doing, because we always want to celebrate what we're doing when we're feeling successful. And then we have folks who just want to hear or be part of a conversation on a particular topic. So as they build those and they collect, the ones that have lots of folks who are interested in them get placed up on our agenda board. And it's always exciting to see what the teachers come up with. They want to talk about esports was a big one this year that surprised a lot of us. We saw that sticky note, and my team was kind of like, esports, we have one member that knows a lot about that, but we would never have thought to do a training this summer on esports. It just wasn't something that was like right up on our radar. And there were a ton of people who actually went to that session and wanted to know what this was. They heard that buzzword. How were people using it in the classroom? How are they using it successfully? And so there was a lot of great conversation in that room about that. But like I say, the beauty of it is that teachers are building it based on things that are meaningful to them, and they're the ones leading it. So we don't always have to be the experts in the room on what this is, and it doesn't always have to be formal. Most of the conversations we're not showing on a PowerPoint or a pre-done presentation. It was a really good conversation around an ed tech topic that was meaningful to them. That they could bounce ideas off of each other. It's the coolest event.
Well, it sounds a little scary to invite 70 people
Yes.
to spend the day with us and not have an agenda.
It is. And as I talked to my counterparts who are trying to do mini ed camps and tuck them into days, it really is very easy to kind of say, well, I'm going to pre-set up stuff. I'm gonna grab some teachers and make them targets. And I will say, when I first started it, I did cheat, and I had some plants that I knew would be facilitators of a conversation. But as we've been doing it this was our 3rd year, we'll be going into our 4th this summer, I'm kind of trying to go with the way Ed Camp is supposed to be, that the day of, you allow the participants that opportunity to share, and you don't take a spot with something that you think they want. You let them decide what they want and what's popular for them.
Thank you for joining us today for Digital Learning, and I hope you'll stay tuned for our next episode.